Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of Iliad 16, and I got up to line 450, 458. So, in the previous section, Patroclus and Sarpedon have met on the battlefield. Zeus has been in two minds as to whether to try and rescue Sarpedon, who was his dear son, or to let him die at the hands of Patroclus. And his wife Hera has said, well, do as you like, but if you save him, you better think about the consequences of it. And we finished up here. In fact, I got up to 462 is where I'll be starting. So it finished off with, he did not disobey his wife. And so we now moved 462. Hoi te hoti deis gedon eson ep eleloi siontes. But they, now this now is referring back to Patroclus and Sarpedon. So when coming, literally they were near, in fact, to one another. There, atoi indeed, Patroclus is the subject, and now we get an object here. Unfortunately it goes to a new page, and there's a bit more on this guy here. So there, Patroclus, and the main verb is on the next bit here, he struck ballet, agekleton, very famous, you get that age prefix plus kletos, very famous Thrasymachus. So Patroclus struck very famous Thrasymachus, who was the Eos, the noble Therapone, the noble, well, the old translation said squire or something. I think it just means servant of Lord Sarpedon. And it is the struck ballet. He struck him in the stomach, near Iran, in the lower part of his stomach. This is connected with an old Sanskrit root ni, which is the root is cognate with the ni in beneath in English. So it means the lower part of his stomach. And he loosed his limbs. In other words, he killed him. And Sarpedon, now the ap aim brote, this is a very irregular form from af hamatano, to miss. I'll leave the commentaries to explain the form here. It's just a very strange form. It is cognate with af hamatano, and it's very common in Homer, this particular form. So Sarpedon, rushing forth, he missed him, deuteron a second time. So having rushed forward a second time, he missed him with his shining spear. So it's not that he threw the spear a second time, but he rushed forward a second time and he missed him with his spear. But he stabbed Pegasus, the horse, on the right shoulder, Enke, with his spear. And he, this is the horse Pegasus, Ebraken, this is yelling out or shrieking loudly, Isthone, gasped forth Thumon his life. Cad, now we've seen this before, this is kata, alpha drops out and the tor becomes a delta before the delta, and the cad is actually kata going with the pes from pipto. So it's really just he fell down in the dust. Makone is a participle from mekaamai. Now mekaamai is used, it means bleating. It's used of sheep. You'll see it in Theocritus, for example, bleating of sheep. But here it's got more the sense of shrieking out. It's not just bleating, but really making a very loud animal noise. Apo eptatothumos, and his heart. This is from apo plus petanumi. His heart literally, sorry, his soul perhaps flew away. Now remember, the horses are tied together, and there's a trace horse as well in here. So the toe here, I think, refers to the two horses. So you've got the horse and the trace horse. So the two horses, dia statane, this is a duel from dia histemi. They pulled apart, and cricket, probably cognate with our word creaked. So the zugon, the yoke, creaked. This is the thing that ties the horses together. And the aenea desvi sunkut, from sun and keo. So something like the reins, well, perhaps fell in disarray, were thrown up in the air, sort of poured out together, literally. So fell in disarray, spes perspisin, for them. But when, in fact, the paraeoros, this is the trace horse, when it fell en coniaci, in the dust. So Automedon, who is famous with the spear, found, I think, just for this from Purisco, so he found a tekmor, a remedy, and then toya for this. So Automedon realizes what's happening, and he finds a remedy for this. Spasamenos, from spao, having drawn his tanuakis, this is thin-edged, I think, or is a sword, from beside his thick thigh. Aixas, from aiso, darting forth, he cut off the trace horse. Udi emate said, this is from the verb matao. You get matain as an adverb, in vain. This is the verb matao, to be idle or to dally. Probably here in the sense of to be in vain, so something like, nor was it in vain. And the two of them, ithon thetain, the two of them were righted, were stood upright, and tenus, then they stretched, or perhaps strained at, these are the straps which hold the horses together. So it's the strap which holds the horses here. And then perhaps look that one up. It has a range of meanings, but I think here it's so the N, I think, goes with the tanuo, and this is then for thesan. So they strained at the reins, or the straps which hold the horses, and the two of them forthwith. Now this is the two, so we get an interesting balance here between the two horses, because there's actually a trace horse as well, so I think there must be three horses. One of them's fallen down dead, and the other two are in disarray. So the two of them got upright and strained at the reins, but the two, now this is referring now to Sarpedon and Patroclus, the two of them again, sun itain, dual, from sun ami ibo, they met together, and notice the accent on peri, well, literally regarding or concerning, we would just say for. This is soul-destroying strife. The boar here is from that verb brosco, to eat. It's the soul-devouring strife strife which devours the thumos. Nth hour, and there again Sarpedon apambrote, that's that verb we had before, connected with hamatano. So there again Sarpedon missed with his shining spear, but the subject here is akoke. This is the end of the spear, the sharp part, and then enkios of the spear. So the sharp part of the spear came above the left shoulder of Patroclus, nor did it strike him. But he, Patroclus, Husteros, thereafter, Ornutai, he rushed at him with his calco, with his bronze, you have to understand, spear. Nor did the Belos, nor did the missile Ekfuge flee from his hand, Halion, in vain. So nor did the spear escape from his hand in vain, but it struck him. There, sort of the arrow, we would just say then, but it's sort of, as you might expect, that use of arrow. It's a very lovely little particle here, very hard to get into English. So it struck him there, where the phrenes, this is the midriff. Now, ergotai here is tricky. This is from ergo, to fence off. It's not from the verb of coming or anything. This is from ergo, to fence off, literally. So where the midriff perhaps closes in, literally fences off or closes in around. Hardinos, funny use here. It generally can mean thick or can mean vehement. The care here is his heart. Some translators translate this as throbbing, because the original sense of the word apparently was something that is in quick motion. So just to do this bit again, so he struck him there where the midriff, ergotai, fences off, or holds around his throbbing heart. Erepe, and he fell, as when, of course as usual we have to have the Homeric comparison, as when a certain drus, tree, as you know, it's cognate with the word druid. So as when a certain tree falls, a certain, I think it's an oak tree here, or an acareus. This is a fairly rare word. It means a white poplar. Or another fairly rare word, blothray, means tall or stately, and pitus is a pine tree. So he fell as when a certain oak tree falls, or a white poplar, or a stately pine tree, which Andres tectones, men who are technicians, or perhaps builders here. So when men who are builders, so which men who are builders cut down on the mountains, pelekesin, from pelekus, meaning an axe. This is dative plural, from pelekus, with their axes, and the axes are neakesin, newly sharpened axes, to be naion. This is timber for ships. You can see the nay root in here. This is ship timber. So as when that happens, thus, so that's the comparison, thus he, that's Sarpedon, stretched out, he lay in front of the horses and the chariot, literally the seat of the chariot, but just the chariot, Bebruco screaming out. Very powerful line, this one. Konios de dragmenos haimeto essays. De dragmenos, from an old verb meaning to reach for. You get a dragma is a handful of something. And so it means something like clutching at, and it's taking a genitive, clutching at the bloodied dust. Very powerful line. Notice it's a 4-word line. When you see 4-word lines in Homer, they're always very, very emphatic. They're rare and they're emphatic, and you can imagine when this is performed, they would do the line very slowly. Bebrukos konios dedragmenos haimeto essays. So he was screaming out, clutching the bloodied dust. Ute, another comparison here, like or as when a lion, coming among the herd. We get that old fee ending for an old locative, so coming into the herd. Epiphne, again this is a reduplicated aorist from an old verb which only occurs in forms. It's pheno, kills or slaughters a tauron, a bull. So as when a lion coming among the herd kills a bull which is Ithona, tawny, and megathumon and great-hearted. Among the oxen with their, well, this is great debate what this means, with their whirling feet, with their whirling gait. And it perishes, it dies, screaming out at the hands of the Gamphalaci. This is the jaws. You get other forms of this word in later Greek as well, but it means the jaws of the lion. Thus, the leader of the Lycaean spearsmen, and on the next page we've got Ctenommenos dying at the hands of Patroclus. And then we go to the next page. So having been killed at the hands of Patroclus, well, he's not dead yet, but many Aine, he struggled. So perhaps dying at the hands of Patroclus, many Aine, something like struggled, supply against his fate, something like that. So he struggled, and he called by name his Philon Hetiron, his dear comrade. Glauke pepon. Pepon, vocative from pepone. It's a funny word. It has the sense of ripe. It's a bit like the funny English expression to refer to someone as old fruit. We just translate it as dear or my dear friend Glaucus. Polymista met andrasi. Again, this would be vocative from polemistes. So this is that first declension vocative you often get with the alpha. So it means warrior among men. I think it's the best way of taking that. Warrior among men. Non de mala cray. Now it is very necessary for you. There is great need. Cray was originally a noun. You've got to supply est in here. There is great need for you, Emini, both to be an Aikmetes, a spearsman, and a bold Pelimistane, a bold warrior. Nun de toi Elias the polymos kakos. So this is an imperative, and so the subject of it is evil war. So now let evil war be a desire for you. So let, in other words, take a strong desire for evil war. Let evil war be your desire, a thoos esim. Well, if you are quick, well, you have to paraphrase this slightly. It's if you are quick to fight. Protomen otrunane, first of all, stir up the men who are leaders of the Lycaeans, ep oikomenos, going about, pante, everywhere, so going about everywhere, stir up the men who are leaders of the Lycaeans, stir them up to fight around Sarpedon. Because Sarpedon is worried now that he's going to have his body desecrated. In particular, he's going to have his armour taken by Patroclus, which is the usual thing. And afterwards, you yourself also, another imperative here from Manamai, to fight around me, Calco, with your bronze, understand, spear. For I, now the verbs here, I will be, for I will also thereafter be, katefe is a funny word. It's believed to mean something like the hanging of the head, and the etymology is uncertain. So it's something like with downcast head. So I will be, it's almost a source of embarrassment and reproach to you, Diam peris continually, hematopanta, all your days. If the Achaeans might rob, from sulao, me of my armour, takes double accusative, me who has fallen in the contest around the ships, literally the battle of the ships. Al ekio, it's imperative from echo, it's used in that military sense of to hold your ground strongly, and otrune, imperative, stir up all the host. So he's giving instructions to Glaucus to defend his body. And that is the next part of Book 16.